In a moment of helplessness, he screamed, and then, revival was activated. He returned to the time when he was with KO, unable to hide his emotions, and cried tears of joy. This was his final revival, and he was determined to succeed at all costs. On February 29th, just one day before the kidnapping incident, everything unfolded as usual. While out playing, Kenya arranged to meet Satoru for a private conversation. It turned out that he had noticed Satoru's recent change in personality and inquired about his true identity. Impressed by his best friend's intelligence and perceptiveness, Satoru decided to reveal everything to Kenya. After hearing the story, Kenya resolved to help him. Due to their conversation, both of them arrived late to class and were punished with carrying buckets of water. After school, Satoru sought out Jun to ask for some information. Based on his response, Satoru could confidently conclude that Jun was not the culprit. Time continued to pass, and on his birthday night, Satoru quietly asked for permission to go outside. He went to Jun's house and slashed the tires of his truck, then broke the window to make him call the police, turning the reluctant police officers into witnesses for Jun that night. On his way back, he encountered KO's mother and planned to eliminate her to protect KO. Fortunately, Kenya arrived in time and stopped him, expressing concern for his impulsive solo actions. Satoru then came up with a bold plan and asked for Kenya's help, to which he agreed. After the party ended, it was expected that Satoru would take KO home, but tonight, he would take her somewhere else to spend the night safely. Satoru led her to an abandoned bus, and Kenya was also present. It turned out to be Satoru and Kenya's plan, creating KO's disappearance for a few days to bring about a significant change. After cleaning up, they created a cozy space with all the necessary amenities. Satoru and Kenya then asked for permission to go home to avoid suspicion. Satoru's mother was still at home, waiting for him and noticing his unusual behavior. In the middle of that night, Satoru sneaked out and met KO, who was still awake. They had dinner together and opened up to each other, and KO started to open her heart to him. The next morning, KO was still peacefully sitting in the old bus, and everything proceeded as usual. From now on, everything would unfold in a completely different way, and Satoru had to adapt to that. On the following evening, everyone gathered around the bus, talking to KO, and she appeared very happy about it. That night, a stranger unexpectedly broke into the bus while KO was sleeping, leaving behind a bag and creating a loud noise that startled Kazo. However, eventually, the intruder left. The next morning, while having breakfast with Satoru, KO's mother asked about his secret, but he refused to answer. She then gave him a portion of food to take away, and Satoru quickly ran to KO's location and gave her the lunchbox. While eating, KO discovered a piece of paper from Satoru's mother, revealing that she had already known about this and instructed KO to eat properly. At school, the students began discussing KO's recent absences. Mr. Yoshida told Satoru that he had been trying to contact KO's mother in recent days, but received no response, so he contacted the Child Welfare Center, and they would visit KO's house today, which made Satoru feel very happy. That evening, the staff from the Child Welfare Center arrived at KO's house, but her mother quickly fled. Meanwhile, in the old bus, Satoru was recounting the results to his friends. KO gave him a pair of gloves as a belated birthday gift. Satoru was deeply moved because, after all the effort, he was able to change the future. KO then recounted the events of the previous night and led everyone to the bag left by the man. When they opened it, Satoru was shocked to find that it contained only weapons used to kill KO the other night. Realizing that this place was no longer safe, Satoru decided to take KO somewhere else. After finishing the cleanup, Satoru brought the entire group back to his home, as Satoru's mother had already known the secret and gently comforted KO. Inviting the group inside, they were treated to a curry meal. After Kenya and Hiromi left, Satoru's mother called Mr. Yashiro, indicating that they were aware that Satoru would bring KO home and were preparing a plan. That night, KO was cared for by Satoru's mother in a tender manner. Perhaps this was the first time in her life that she received such a warm care like this. Another night passed quietly, and dawn arrived again. Satoru's mother woke up early and prepared food for the two of them. Seeing the well-prepared meal that Satoru's mother had made, KO remembered the meals she had when she was with her own mother, which consisted only of bread and instant noodles. Tears automatically welled up in her eyes, and she burst into uncontrollable sobs. Returning to Kao's mother, when her daughter back, she was angry and intended to slap Kazo, but Satoru's mother appeared. She then was furious and constantly blamed Satoru's mother, even actively attacking her. While Ko tried to restrain her mentally unstable mother, a staff member from the child welfare center arrived. It turned out that Satoru's mother and Mr. Yashiro had planned for the center's staff to meet and talk directly with Ko's mother. They decided to take Ko back to the childcare center due to her indifference to her daughter's disappearance for the past 3 days, as the mother pulled Ko away, refusing to accept the conclusion from the center's staff. Ko's grandmother appeared and apologized for leaving Ko's mother alone for all this time. The reason for Ko's mother's cruelty was also revealed. Since childhood, she had been brutally abused by her father, causing severe psychological trauma. Therefore, she had done the same thing to Ko. Ko's mother then hugged her mother tightly and burst into tears. From now on, Ko will be safe under the care of her grandmother, Satoru silently thought. Ko then thanked Satoru and bid him farewell. Standing under the snowy sky, he silently wished the best for Ko. According to Satoru's memory, the next victims would be Hiromi and Aya, two classmates of his. His mission now was to befriend them and not let them be alone. The next day, he began to investigate Aya and Hiromi's daily schedules. While observing Aya, he was asked by his mother to carry some luggage. So he had to abandon the surveillance halfway. Fortunately, they met Mr. Yoshida and he gave them a ride home. Through their conversation in the car, we learned that Mr. Yoshida didn't have a family. In a moment of distraction, Satoru accidentally opened a small drawer and discovered a lot of candies. It turned out that due to his smoking addiction, Mr. Yoshida had to chew candies to suppress his craving for cigarettes. The next afternoon, after school, Kenya arranged to meet Satoru to inquire about his strange behavior despite saving Ko. Satoru then had to reveal his secret to Kenya once again, and Kenya would continue to stand by his side to find the true culprit. They then went to the old bus to find clues. Here, Satoru recounted his entire deduction to Kenya and Hiromi, from the connection between Ko's abuse to the series of disappearances, and Kenya showed great understanding. That evening, Satoru escorted Hiromi home to ensure his safety. The next evening, Satoru, Kenya, and Hiromi took the initiative to approach and introduce themselves to Aya. She quickly recognized them because she often saw them sneaking into a warehouse, which was supposed to be Satoru and his friend's secret base. Aya teased Satoru and Kenya, calling them children for playing games of a secret base, and then left. Suddenly, Kazu appeared and invited her to visit the secret base, but only to scare her into running away. The next day, while Satoru and his friends were gathering at the secret base, Aya showed up. It turned out she was also curious about the place and had come looking for it. In the following days, they continued to have fun together, and both Aya and Hiromi were no longer lonely. They were safe. However, Satoru remained worried because he had lost all the leads on the culprit. One evening, while walking Hiromi home, Hiromi mentioned to Satoru about Masato, who had been isolating herself since the incident of the stolen money the other day. Seeing that, Satoru planned to talk to her the next day. The next morning, Satoru was unsure how to approach Masato when she suddenly boarded a bus. With the information from Hiromi, he knew her destination and immediately chased after her, eventually finding her at a sports arena. Teacher Yoshida was also present there, cheering for his students. After observing, he noticed Masato sitting alone. She later went to the restroom, and after waiting for her for a while without seeing her come out, Satoru approached to check. Suddenly, Teacher Yoshida appeared and said that Masato had already gone home. In his state of confusion, Satoru noticed Jun's father's car wandering around, so he asked Yoshida to chase after it. Inside the car, Satoru recounted to Yoshida about the possibility of Hiromi being the target of a serial killer, and Yoshida showed admiration for what he had done. Suddenly, Yashiro's behavior became strange, continuously talking about extreme ideals, about humanity, and death. When the car entered a tunnel, he began revealing his true nature. He was the one responsible for all the series of disappearances, which Satoru had been trying to prevent. He had orchestrated everything just to trap Satoru. Satoru remembered it all. He recognized the face of the person who had killed his mother. He took Satoru to a lakeside and despite his efforts, Satoru couldn't escape. After the final threats, he let Satoru and the car plunge into the river. The scene shifts to 18 years later. Finally, Satoru wakes up from his 15-year coma. During his unconscious state, Satoru's mother was always by his side, taking care of him. Thanks to her extraordinary efforts, he was able to wake up today. Although it seems that his memories have temporarily been lost. The next day, Kenya and Hiromi come to visit him. Both have grown up and have stable jobs. They chat for a while and bid farewell in the evening. The following day, after a physical rehabilitation training session, a familiar figure appears. It is Kazo. She now has a child and her husband is Hiromi. Although Satoru doesn't remember anything, she thanks him because she has a happy life now, all thanks to him. Satoru smiles with contentment, and they say goodbye to each other. That night, Satoru expresses his desire to regain his mobility quickly, so he wants to intensify his physical rehabilitation training. In the subsequent days, he continues to train hard. During a break, he notices a girl sitting alone. So he takes the initiative to start a conversation. After a while, he learns that her name is Kumi, and she was about to have an important surgery. Satoru then encourages her to strive to overcome the difficulty. Suddenly, a familiar face appears. It is Mr. Yoshida, but Satoru no longer has any memories of him. In the evening, he visits Satoru's hospital room and talks to him. After a while, he wishes Satoru a speedy recovery and leaves. A few days later, while Satoru is planning to visit Kumi, Mr. Yoshida appears and indicates that he doesn't want him to visit. He then says that he wants to talk to Satoru privately and leads him to the rooftop. Once there, Satoru surprises him by saying that he remembers everything. A few days ago, during a conversation with Satoru, Kenya discovered that Satoru had regained his memory and desired to help him resolve the whole incident once and for all. Satoru suddenly remembered the friends who had helped him in the past, and now they would continue to stand by each other's side to find out the truth. Back in reality, Yashiro revealed the plan to kill Kumi, which had been arranged to frame Satoru. He continuously threatened and provoked Satoru. Suddenly, Satoru regained his inherent confidence. He believed that Yashiro was the one failing in this game because Satoru had saved everyone from him. Yashiro had waited 15 years just for the day Satoru woke up, meaning he needed him, and Satoru was his reason for living. After speaking, Satoru rushed towards the railing to commit suicide. But Yashiro held him back, proving that what Satoru said was correct. Yashiro couldn't kill him, because Satoru was the only one who understood Yashiro as a person. For Satoru, the past 15 years felt like a blink of an eye. But for Yashiro, he had to endure each day, waiting for the day Satoru woke up. Yashiro finally accepted defeat and let him go. He planned to commit suicide right after. Suddenly, he saw that Satoru was still alive, lying on a mattress prepared by Satoru's mother and his friends. Realizing that he had been deceived, Yashiro could only laugh helplessly. The police arrived shortly after and took him into custody, ending the 18-year-long case. The old editor praised Satoru's work wholeheartedly because now, his soul was fulfilled, and since that day, Satoru never experienced revival again. And that was the recap of the anime series named Erased. If you enjoyed it, hit the like and subscribe button to support me. What is your favorite character in this anime series or what topic that you want me to do next? Don't forget to let me know in the comment section. Thank you.